Yeah, so welcome to Group F. And looks like this is... Wow, I've got to actually count. I believe this is the fourth match of Group F, and it is Mazimov's final match of Group F.
I was gonna say this is his third race, right?
This is his third race, and this is ZergG's first race.
Yeah, so this is Maz's last chance to sort of make his mark here before the bracket category kicks in. So
yeah, and given that Colonel Fatso is 2-0, and Colonel Fatso honestly really dominating this category lately, he's really putting a lot of work into it. And Infinite Mystery at 0-2 is the other member. I have a feeling this race is basically for who's going to get that second spot in the group.
Yeah, it's actually going to be pretty critical. I agree. The whoever really takes this is going to have a huge advantage. Like if there's a tiebreaker, obviously a lot will rely on this. So yeah, just like you said, this is kind of like the match for them.
Yeah.
So a lot on the line here, but both runners going to guts, which is we saw that last night also. Actually, not very many races where both runners have decided to go both guts first.
Yeah, usually somebody's going to take that risk on the early magnet beam. But we've got two people going for the steady route here with guts first.
Yeah, it's safe and it's a smart route. I mean, it's definitely not a lot slower or anything than cut first, so it's not a bad choice at all.
Alright, so I'm seeing the start of a guts fight here for Mazimov.
Yes. Going with the select pause buffers.
He did it for the first sequence, I think, and he's since been just going for it.
Oh, yeah. It makes it a little easier to control Gutsman and your bullets into him, but... Ooh, Guts sort of charging him here, but he's got plenty of health, so... It's one robot down. And Zerg right behind him.
Yep. A little close for Zerg there. I was getting a little scared for him.
I was gonna ask, you got the link for the Robot Masters?
I'm sorry?
You got the link for that Robot Masters thing? I'm assuming that's what we're using. For clicking them off. Hold on. Let me double check. Make sure he's got it. I'll send it to you, Cab.
Okay.
It's a pretty cool little thing here Fiesel made up for us, so that the restreamer can relax a little bit and let the commentators take control a little bit. So it works the same way, just it's a web version. So it's going to be kind of nice, actually, that both runners are taking the same route here, because we can sort of keep track on where everybody is. Like, you don't have to try to be guessing, oh, this guy did a different route, so he's technically, like, maybe half a stage behind or something. Now we know, since it's the same stage route, we can definitely see sort of where that time difference is, which is pretty nice.
Mazimov has to grab the health. ZergG seems a little earlier in the stage. I didn't see what happened here.
Yeah, I think he's been a little bit unsure of some of these screens, so he's been taking his time getting through some of them. His health is fine, but if he does get hit by the big eye at the end of the stage, he's gonna have to be kind of careful in the Cutman fight. He may decide to grab the health like Maz did, but we'll see what he decides to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's the health of shame for the one-game speedrun, but certainly in the marathon that is this race, it's probably worth it to get it if you think you're going to need it.
Yeah, well, and especially if your health is within risk of being killed by the big eye, because obviously it's not worth the time if you're going to take the death. Whereas, like you're saying, in like an RTA setting, you can just reset, it's no big deal. Ooh. Zerg not even going for the screen wrap, so he may not have a lot of the standardized speedrun strats down. So we may see a lot of personal strats from him.
I always like it when we get somebody new in, because if nothing else, you'll usually see something you haven't seen before.
Yeah.
And then there's usually stuff that makes some people say like, "Huh, I'm gonna steal that strat."
Yeah, there's definitely safer strats all over the place in this game, and you can. The nice thing about this category, since it's so long, is you can sort of decide whether what strats you think you might want to keep and what strats you decide you might not want to keep. I know Baron, he put a lot of time, for example, into this game and went through and decided, which strats he figured were just not worth it for him. Where the risk was just too much for him to sort of accept if he had made a mistake and died or something. So you see a lot of the runners actually do that. In a long run like this, it's worthwhile to take some actual time to think about it, so that you don't have to worry about going for ridiculous things. Whereas some runners are going to go for it all. So we'll see how that pays off.
Zerg having a little trouble on that first screen of Elikman stage. Those jumps are always really tight. Mazimov is about to grab the magnet beam and basically go to work in this game.
Just missed it. Has to go back for it. No big deal. No big deal. As you can see, obviously, Alek stage, if you've never played this game, it's basically a very long vertical climb stage. So having the beam is really helpful because you can skip lots of the ladder climbing sections, because you climb ladders pretty slowly. Ooh. Zerg having quite a lot of issues with these Yokus, and he's going for the corner jump side, so...
Yeah, that was a little surprising to see you go for the corner jump after that.
Yeah, and he does fall, so that's gonna cost him a good 12 seconds just on the fall itself.
Yeah, I appreciate his spirit there.
Yeah. Yeah, go for it once, you never know. Meanwhile, Maz is all the way up to the boss corridor. He does have to be a little bit careful here. He is one-shottable by any of these beams or from Alex, so as long as he can execute the fight correctly, though, he hopefully will be okay. These beams are not too terrible to get past if you're patient. And he is by them all.
So let's see how he deals with Elikman.
This fight is always scary, and then you learn how to fight it, and it's not too terrible. And seeing that jump backward from Alek and that quick shot from him is pretty scary sometimes. But Mega Man 1 is pretty straightforward with the boss fights, just because you can use the select button to hold bosses in place, basically, and let the iframes wear off while you pause the game with select, and then just unpause and repause to hit them again. So it makes the boss fights pretty trivial. You just kind of, essentially almost like a stun lock, kind of.
Yeah, pretty much. Some of the weapons just easier to do it with than others. Alec Beam kind of famously hangs around for a very long time with its huge hitbox.
Yeah, for sure.
Ooh, I like the zip.
Ooh, set up from the bottom. That's interesting. I don't think I've seen anybody set it up from down there. Kind of neat. Meanwhile, Zerg gets to the boss corridor in Alek. Again, health is a little low. I think he can still take a hit here from like one of these beams, but Elikman I think will kill him with a beam shot if he gets hit, so he has to be a little bit careful again at the boss fight. And since his strats feel a little more improvised here so far, I'm guessing that this fight might be a little scarier than Mazimov's was.
This is going to be very scary because he has to switch to cut, and there's going to be the little beam in animation for that.
Gets the menu. Oh, looks like he's gonna be okay. Oh, it's coming back though.
No!
He's gonna have to jump. No, that's unfortunate. So just sort of mistiming there, a really short mistime there on the third hit, and that put the cutter too far away from
So
Elect
really,
to hit him.
it looked like that was more kind of the old mash select. That was like, I used to do that with the Yellow Devil in this game. Didn't really know why the select button worked. Just sort of knew, well, if I mash select, I will hit him a lot.
Yeah.
I think that was the plan for this Elec fight. Really, what you want to do is wait for Elec Man to stop flashing, or whichever boss you happen to be attacking with it.
Yeah, and everybody's iframes, like, it's kind of interesting. Like, Mega Man 1, the iframes are not consistent between the bosses, so you'll notice that sometimes some of the bosses, to get good fast hits, they're actually, like, it's more of a steady beat, like a boom, 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 boom. And then there's other ones where it's, like, really slow, like Ice, for example, where it's like, doot, doot, doot. It's interesting how they all have sort of, like, different lengths. And the runners, if they can, would ideally like to learn all those different lengths.
Mazimov up to the screen where you can try to do the long fire zip.
Is he going to go for it though? Is the question. He's got lots of beams, so he definitely can. Nope. Looks like he's just going to skip it.
I don't really blame him for wanting no part of that zip.
It's tricky.
Yeah.
That's one of those tricks actually in Mega Man 1 where like I learned it and then I like left the game for a bit. Like I don't have a very great time in this game, but I left it for a bit. And then I came back to the game like, you know, a few months later, and I just knew that I wouldn't be able to do it because I just hadn't done it for so long. It's actually pretty precise. Like if you don't do the inputs correctly, you'll not zip. Instead, you'll just fall straight down and die. So it's not something you can just sort of like pull off unless you've put a lot of practice into it and remember exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, definitely not worth risking the death there.
ZergG's not even using his beam here. He's just doing the Yokus for this first screen.
He knows the pattern.
Yeah.
Jumping up to get those beams to work can be kind of tricky. Although, going for the blocks on the second screen... Oh, I see what he's doing.
Okay, he's menuing. So now he's going to try to make it... He's got plenty of beam now to get over this long pit, which is kind of nice. Ooh, kind of putting his beam high.
A little high.
And it looked like that was intentional, too, so hopefully he's okay here. He's going to take a couple hits, but he's back on the beams, so hopefully he's okay here.
He's made it.
Played it a little bit safe, but he made it, yeah.
I'm not going to write that off even as playing safe. I'm going to write that off as him knowing his own skill. Yeah. And it's really good when you're kind of new and you're in a race to play to your skill.
Yeah, you got to know when to tone it back. A big issue for me, like especially since like when I finally learned one of these games, when you branch into a second game and you start learning the speedrun strats for that route, it's hard to sometimes like remember that it's like, oh yeah, I haven't put nearly as much time into this game as, you know, my previous game. And so sometimes you look at a strat and you just figure, oh, it's not that hard, I can do it. But if you don't really actually put a lot of time into it, it's actually very difficult and can still, you know, be a big time loss. Whereas if you understand your limitations and play within that limit, then typically it's not an issue.
So meanwhile, Maximov has gotten the bomb zip.
Yeah, very nice.
It's actually a really fun zip to pick that one up just because it is sort of like the big one, and it's not nearly as risky as the fire zip.
This is a solid start too. I mean, there's the kill. He's got the orb at like 14 something. I can't read his splits, but I mean, this is a solid start for Maz.
That said, ZergG, usually like to look at the runner splits and see how they're doing to some extent. He is killing his Mega Man 1 time for his 46 robot splits.
Yeah, I'm curious if he's maybe only got one run under his belt. But you can definitely see that he's been putting some practice in since his last run, because he's already saved almost 30 minutes.
He's up by a half hour on a split. So.
Already in 4 stages, so I'm guessing this is potentially his second run ever of this category, so we'll probably see, you know, it might look like maybe a slightly longer time compared to some people, but I bet it's going to be pretty substantial time saved for him.
And Mazimov, we should note, is playing Mega Man 2 normal.
Ooh.
Not playing the difficult game. So he'll have an easier time killing bosses, but he'll have to listen to Dr. Light a little bit longer.
Yeah, Light really needs to learn how to sum up sometimes. Unfortunately, he just takes forever. He needs that music they play at like award shows when they want the person to sort of wrap it up and get off the stage. He needs that really for this game for sure.
Play Dr. Light off the stage.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sadly, it'll take Proto Man another 2 or 3 games to show up and do that.
Exactly.
ZergG wants this magnet beam pick up.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why he's going to grab that, because there's just some really easy jumps here, and then you're at the boss door, so...
Sometimes you have to be sure.
Yeah. Yeah, going up there, though, definitely cost him quite a bit of time, because, again, climbing ladders is not great, so anytime you can avoid that is sort of ideal.
And he had to climb it twice because of the falling fire.
Mm-hmm.
Got the question here from chat, is there a difference between Mega Man and Rockman?
Oh, well, there is, usually. Most of the Mega Man games for this category, for 8 robots, there's not really a difference. The only real difference in most of the games is like how long it takes the title screen to load up, because like for example in Mega Man 3 and Rockman 3 there's like an extra menu that like gives out like the year of the game was made and all that stuff, whereas like Rockman 3 loads up to the title screen immediately. So there's some little differences between most of the games like that, but in Mega Man 2 you actually see the biggest difference, because what Cab said, the weapon gets are so long in Mega Man 2 normal, and Rockman 2 the text is a lot shorter, so you sort of get that advantage there. But obviously then playing Rockman 2 you're playing difficult modes, so you do have to execute better.
Mazimov took a death in the cloud section.
He did.
Trying to jump between some platforms, has to go through this whole stage again. Doesn't have Flash to help him out this time, but it looks like he's going to be okay.
Yeah, he's actually made some of these tighter jumps, which is pretty good. Some of those jumps over those little screws coming out of those cloud platform things are actually pretty tight to make. Ooh, nice despawn. That's actually a frame perfect thing to do, I think.
Oh man.
I don't think that's very easy at all.
The dodge of that lightning bolt was pretty scary.
Looks like he's trying to set up the super jump here. We'll see if he can do it.
Nailed it.
Just gonna do 1 pause buffer to guarantee. I think he might have had that actually, but the pause buffer guarantees that he gets it, so very nice.
Especially with the death, with the big race, you want to make it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you don't want to die again. Like Mega Man 2 has a couple of things in the run where you take a forced death to go further into the stage if you're gonna do things like Goodwood or the Crash Man Zip, and so kind of like a good thing to like maybe try to save those lives. He can get a life back from the one he already lost here when he goes to Quick Man. There's a really easy one. Actually, there's like a few easy ones in Quick, but so he'll definitely have chances to get those lives back if he does die. So
I think ZergG just went to get a 1-up.
He did on his last stage. So
well, he's got it.
He should be fine, I think, but. Yeah, definitely seeing a lot of, I think maybe his casual strats still carrying over, and maybe he hasn't gotten that same sort of confidence of ignoring items and pressing onward without them. That's a big deal in speedrunning, trying to like go through basic stages without picking up extra items. I clicked on the wrong one. Here we go.
Oh my goodness!
Ooh, that bomb explosion. Alright.
And you have to remember there, you're not allowed to switch until you collect the orb, so if he got killed by that last bomb...
Yeah, he would have had to fight Bomb in again. Yeah, that would have been a pretty bad death, but thankfully he just barely gets the jump over top.
Oh, that was skill. That was skill. ZergG, 31 minutes ahead of his time. Mazimov, with that death, falls behind his splits, but he's into Heat Man.
Yeah, still with a pretty sizable lead here. He's got about 2 stages here on Zerg, so...
Zerg kicking a long way around, but he is advancing in Flashman stage. I like that little kill, the little turret from behind.
Maz does go for the item 3 throw, but unfortunately, it's a pretty tough trick to do, and he just accidentally threw the item the wrong way.
So Maz is already setting up for a zip.
Yeah, first zip of the game. Nails it.
I'd be a little curious to see if ZergG's learned any of the zips when he gets up to him.
I feel like the fact that we didn't see any in Mega Man 1 probably means we're not going to see any in Mega Man 2. I feel like, which is actually unfortunate because it's really just hurting himself to not learn the zips. Ooh, and he's going to take a death here because he actually went the wrong way in Flash's stage.
Yeah, it didn't seem to be like by accident.
No, it sort of looked like that was his intentional, like normal way through the stage. So maybe some potential, just not really taking a lot of time to properly learn the stages and the routes through them, I think.
If somebody joins a tournament and they're just doing it to have fun, I've got no problem with that. I mean, like you said, it's a little unfortunate they won't be as competitive in the tournament as a result, but
yeah,
you gotta start playing somewhere.
Like, see, like him continuing there to like move after the E-Tank, I think he just doesn't know the layouts of the stages. So this could be a very, very casual 46.
Nothing wrong with proving anyone can do it.
Yeah, I mean everybody starts somewhere, right? That's a good point. I think not everybody just starts out and has like great movement or anything. So it's always good to like I think encourage like new runners, no matter how good or not good they are, because everybody starts out not being good. I mean, let's face it, all of us were bad at one point.
Mazimov takes care of Heatman a little while ago and is about to go into Crashman. We'll see if we see some probably a screen 2 zip. If he goes for Biggie, I don't know what I'll do.
Definitely not going to be going for that. I don't think too many people are going to be going for Biggie in this tournament. Only some of the really top tier runners. It's not an easy thing to do.
Great setup though for screen 2 zip.
Yep, very nice.
I think that's like basically the way to do it, is just take that hit on purpose, and when you turn around, you're in the right spot to hit that platform.
Yeah, it's worth taking the D-boost, because it just makes setting it up easier. You don't have to worry about trying to avoid the tellies at that point. You can just stand right inside their hitboxes and it won't be an issue.
Oh, ZergG hanging on to this platform while Mazimov is executing a crash crime of sorts.
Yeah, this climb is it's not as precise as some people think. You actually have pretty big windows to hit those item 3s, but you still have to learn where to put them. So on a ladder like that, sometimes it can be kind of hard to see your exact pixel location.
Yeah,
But
there is a pixel where if you basically climb up or even immediately jump off the ladder, I think you will land on the item 3 very quickly.
yeah, there's a 4-pixel window where you can do that, so it's pretty forgiving. It basically means there's a full for every 16 pixels, which is one tile. It means like a quarter of that height is perfect for that. So
Even then, though, I'm fairly certain a poorly executed compared to optimal crash climb does actually still save a lot of time. Every time you get knocked off by the birds, landing on a platform instead of falling down, being able to jump off of that platform, it does help.
yeah, for sure, it helps you. It's better than climbing the ladder from scratch, just like in Elec and like Mega Man 1. Like there's just times where climbing ladders is just not what you want to be doing. There you see Maz grabbing that 1-up like I mentioned.
Oh yeah, because he took that death in air. So he actually needed that.
He did, yeah. There were, like I said, there are other 1-ups in the stage that he could potentially grab, but I'm guessing he's going to do the normal route, so that's the only one you'll see him probably grab. And it looks like he's going to try to set the zip up, I think. Yep, he's going for it.
Good setup.
Got a setup for it.
Turns the lights back on.
Yeah.
Lots of people
good.
like that.
Yeah, it doesn't cost you very much time to do, like less than half a second if you do it quickly, and it makes these screens just much easier. As you can see, he's already now got his screen fixed again, so now what you're seeing is the actual screen he's on.
ZergG, meanwhile, with a pretty good airman fight. Airman only making it halfway across the room.
So, not electing to grab any more of the 1-ups, so he'll just have exact lives then for the rest of this, which should be okay. He only has to take the one more forced death in wood if he goes for good wood, so hopefully he still has that extra life when he gets there. He should, because I think, well, metal's still to come here, but hopefully that's not going to be too difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, quick goes down pretty fast than normal, just like 4 crash bombs. So it's a pretty nice quick fight, compared to the Rockman 2 or the difficult version fight where you have to hit him 7 times and you only have 7 shots, so it makes the fight a little scarier because you really don't want to miss.
The only nice thing about missing with a crash bomb is it will explode on the wall, and as long as you can lure Quickman into that bomb as it's exploding, you can usually get the hit back at the cost of, well, a few seconds.
We saw Zerg almost not make it back to one of those blocks there. I think he was on literally the last pixel he could have stood onto that one single block, so that was kind of scary. But yeah, I don't think we'll be seeing any zips from him here. It looks like it's going to be a zipless.
Man. He's reluctant to even get out item 3 at first.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to play the Yokus, but he does get 3 out, so that's a good decision, honestly.
All right. I want to see some good zipless strats.
Ooh, he almost zipped, actually, into the pit, so he's kind of fortunate.
That would have been a bad zip. So it looks like he's just going to tough it out with the blocks. This is a situation where the zipless strats do kind of use item 3. You could be using item 2 here at the top of that 3rd pillar to be set up to go over the 4th pillar. That little mini zip around that block was interesting.
Yeah, and meanwhile, while he's been going through the early parts here of Heat, Maz has completed the entire stage of Metal. Like, you just see how fast Metal stage is with the zips and everything. It's just so quick. And only 2 stages to go, so he's got his 1-up for Wood, which looks like he's probably going to be heading to next, judging from his... Oh, no, he's going to do Wood 8th, I guess. Looks like, from his splits, so...
He's into Wood.
Oh, no, he's changing it up. That's honestly a better option, because you have the longer teleport out from Bubble, so it makes sense to do Bubble last. So he's breaking order from his splits here.
These little race strats that are only useful in not the full game category always irk me a little bit. Whether it's this game or Mario World or anything else. I think that's just me though. Like, I understand why you do it, because yeah, that beam out at the end of Bubble Man is ridiculously long.
Yeah, well, and then even to a new extent with what Baron did with this category is crazy. Basically completely changing the route to get air last so that you skip one of the item, like the item 1 weapon get from Dr. Light.
Yeah.
It's kind of clever, but you wouldn't ever see that in a normal speedrun. Heat is down.
Mm-hmm.
Got all the items for Zerg. Hopefully we'll see him use them a little bit. I'm not sure how much he decides to do Buster only at this point and how much he decides to use the items.
Mazimov now in the throes of good wood.
Yeah, basically what's going on here, if anybody didn't know, is he's zipped past the screen that he looks like he's on. So he's actually playing through Woodman's stage. It just, you don't actually see what screen he's on. You kind of get a glimpse of it as he first like scrolls into the screen. You see it like that screen there with all the stairs. You kind of like see it just for a second, and then it like resets to the screen that you are or were on. So you kind of can see where you are, but not really. But yeah, basically he gets past the boss corridor checkpoint, and then he takes a death so that he respawns there. This makes the stage a little bit faster.
Good wood.
Yeah, very nice. One stage to go in Mega Man 2.
Right, zipless Crash Man now. I want to see the item 1 get used, although I think the usual zipless strat on this first track screen is actually to use item 2 as a platform.
Yeah, it's so you can still sort of maintain these item 1s. He's having issues with these tellies here. Looks like he's just gonna ride the platform.
Well, the platform has made 2 or 3 laps at this point, so you might as well.
Yeah. Kind of unfortunate. It's really not fun having to wait for that thing. Mazimov already through the first screen of Bubble, using that item 2 to fly over.
The item 2 fly to start Bubble, as well as the item 2 fly at the end of Metal. It's a little tricky at first to pick up, but it's very rewarding.
You got that item 1 over that enemy. That's actually pretty tight.
I believe that is known as the hardest jump in the game.
It's pretty tricky. It looks a lot easier than it actually is, I guess. I've gotten it a handful of times, and every time I get it, it's like, okay, good, I finally figured it out. And then the next, like, 5 times I try to do it, I never get it.
ZergG is going up the left side of Crash.
I guess he wants the E-Tank.
This will set him up for the E-Tank.
Really the only reason you would want to go this way. But again, yeah, seeing how he's not using the items, getting hit down by the birds, it's costing him again more time. Another one right there. Might even get hit down a second time if he's not careful here. Okay, good, he shoots the bird. Mega Man 2 is done though for Maz. He's off to Mega Man 3. Making quick work of these games actually here, so...
Good job.
He's well on his way to setting that pace for him so that he might be with Fatso in the brackets. Zerg has to be careful here. Yeah, he gets crushed. That's a really bad death to take too, because not only did he just die at the boss door, but now he's got to reclimb this whole section of Crash, and like it's slow enough as is the first time. So that's actually a really bad death.
Yeah, he has the E-Tank too.
Maz is into Magnet. Finally, we get to a Mega Man game that's got a slide. It's always my favorite part of these multi-game races is when we hit the sliding Mega Mans.
You guys and your slide races.
Yeah, man. It's so good. The slide just feels so good, I think, for a speedrun. I don't know what it is. I mean, the zips are cool, but yeah. Just the movement feels so much cleaner.
So Zerg going up the right side this time. Both the direction and the speed strat.
Yeah. Maz is through the Yoku blocks of Magnet. one of the bigger downsides of this route is having to actually do the Oku blocks, but this is actually a pretty good race route. Magnet First is, I would say Magnet First is the best race route for this game. It's the most consistent of the three routes, the three main routes for Mega Man 3. You do have a potential for more RNG from this fight with Magnet, but definitely a lot safer than a lot of the other routes.
Mm-hmm. Down goes Magnet.
Doesn't get the best pattern from Magnet, but it's fine. It's not too bad.
Zerg also taking out Crashman, a second trip up to the top.
Yeah, he does make it this time, so kind of an unfortunate death there, but that's sort of one of the things with the tournament, though, is like you really want to put, you know, some form of practice into the stages so that you have, you know, at least, even if you don't have necessarily a speed strat through them, at least having the knowledge of what is on each screen is sometimes really important. And not even grabbing the 1-up there, so he's not concerned about his lives. He's not doing the zips where you take the death warps, though, so that might also be not as necessary for him.
Mm-hmm. He's going to the right here in Quickman, so he's going to get another 1-up and an E-Tank right here. At least the E-Tank.
Yeah. We'll see, hopefully he uses them. Sometimes players will pick these up as safety and then just completely forget to use them, so...
Mazimov having some monkey trouble here.
Yeah, these monkeys can be pretty annoying. They have quite a bit of HP, so mashing them down can be a bit of a pain. And then, as you can see, when he doesn't kill either of them, he gets some lag for not killing one of them, so it's kind of a tough screen, because you have to either sacrifice some time due to lag, or come up with an alternate strat. I know we've seen different strats, like Baron switching to Spark to freeze the monkeys in place. And we've seen some other runners use Gemini Laser. Something that Maz can't, unfortunately, do, because he doesn't have Gemini, but...
Oh my.
We've definitely seen some different types of strats here.
Zerg fell into a little gap between the platforms on the first screen of the second set of quick beams, and basically knew exactly what was going on and immediately switched to Flash. Had a little bit of an adventure on the way down, but it looks like he's going to make it to Quickman.
Yeah, for sure. He also had 3 E-Tanks, so I'm kind of curious to see, like, how many of those E-Tanks he's actually going to use. Like, the casual runner perspective before you start learning speed strats is like, I need all these things, because when you played casually, that's just what you did. But in a speed run, you kind of want to start cutting them out. And like, this looks like it would be the hardest fight probably out of his remaining boss fights. And as you can see, not even close to needing an E-Tank, so I'm almost thinking like he probably doesn't even need any of those E-Tanks he picked up.
Getting better all the time.
Yep. But it's something you don't necessarily think about when you're first maybe trying to learn a game or start to like run a game with a timer. You might not even think about that kind of thing.
It's just one of those things that until you really start getting close, or you're in a race and you think, I really need just a little something extra to win, and that's when you decide, I'm going to not get this E-Tank.
Mm-hmm. So you notice now, this is a big difference. So Maz was able to zip past all this stuff that you see Zerg is going through now. So he was able to flash those crushers, which is a pretty important strat to do there if you're not going to zip. But now he's going to have to go through the mole section. And these moles are pretty annoying. They're pretty bad. So you see he's taking a lot of hits here. Has to slow down to kill them in a lot of those places. And then he has to do this little long conveyor where he has to sort of hop. So that's another reason why the zip there is so good, because it's one of the most it probably is the longest zip. And not only that, but it is the longest zip. Saves you so much time, and it's the easiest one to do, because you have a massive window to hit it when you use B to trigger it. So it's kind of unfortunate. Like, seeing that he didn't do that one, I mean, basically means that, you know, he's not going to do any kind of zipping.
Well, the only other thing, the moles, when they do show up, maybe you're doing zipless in general, they always show up pretty much in the same pattern. So it is possible to kind of do a couple of pause buffers to manipulate Mega Man's jumps to land just past some, just before some. It works out pretty well. He is getting an item too at the end here.
Yeah, I guess.
I think he's still going to gain some frames out of that.
Not wanting to do that big jump there, I can understand. It's a little tight, especially if you don't use like select or anything. If you're not too, not too confident in your jumping.
And it looks like he doesn't know to hold B going this fight either. So Metal Man starts to get doing the metal dance.
Yeah, definitely seeing like. I think just lack of knowledge of the runs.
Yeah, but he still makes short work of Metal Man. I mean, even if you
the biggest, well, yeah, he does. I think the biggest danger for that is once you get out of Mega Man 2, the games go up. I think a little bit in difficulty. So
yeah, I would actually.
The danger of not necessarily knowing what to do in certain stages of like 3 and especially 4, start to become very, very dangerous. So hopefully that isn't going to be too critical.
I would definitely put Mega Man 2 as probably the easiest of the NES speedruns to pick up and not necessarily get the L-Amnesia type 27, 26 times, but to certainly start getting below 35 and get within 10 minutes of record.
Yeah, it's with with just some work. Obviously, nothing is easy. You have to learn it, but yeah, I would agree. To get a time like that in 2 is pretty good starting goal, I would think, for a Mega Man runner.
Mazimov working his way through Shadow Man stage here, getting through these laggy darkness sections. He's going to have his magnets out for the parachutes.
Yeah, that makes this screen a lot easier. That's a big reason why this route and the Gemini route are, in my opinion, just better routes. Because this screen is just, way easier than any other type of strat here with top.
Several of those platforms Mazimov just stopped on to make sure there were no drops. You, of course, freeze every time you pick up a drop that refills something in the classic NES Mega Man games.
Yeah, and it would suck to get one of those, like, on the frame, you're gonna jump, right? So, just playing it safe there is not a bad option. Shadow down.
Fasta, thank you for the host.
So Zerg taking a death in Bubble, so he's gonna have to go through this long section again with the Metroids. Playing it a little bit safe with these jumps in the water, just doesn't want to hit these spikes. Actually, staying on Buster here might not be ideal, because those shrimp are, I would say, arguably easier to hit with Metal Blade just because of how much larger its hitbox is. But
just everything is easier to hit with Metal Blade because yes, the hitbox, yes, the multi-directional fire.
Yeah.
And you just have so many of them.
See if Maz can get this nice skip. Yep, very nice. Skips that Proto Man visit, which is good because Proto Man likes us to stand there and look at you for like forever, it feels like sometimes.
Honestly, it's just kind of creepy.
Yeah, he went for the zip, but unfortunately he didn't quite get it. It's kind of a tight timing thing, but it's kind of cool that he went for it. It means, he has an idea of how it works, so it's kind of neat.
ZergG manages to burst Bubble Man's bubble.
Haha. Very clever. I like it.
I actually meant to say burst Wily's Bubble Man, but oh well.
So he does have one more Mega Man 2 stage left. Meanwhile, Maz right now with a pretty commanding lead, but he's into 3. He's already gotten 4 stages done, so halfway through his robots, and almost 5 down as he's already a decent way through Gemini. He is in this very, very, very scary room and does get hit, unfortunately, by that that fish from below, so he's gonna have to try this again. But he does have Marine. He's not gonna use it though. Looks like he's going top route again. So that's kind of unfortunate because skipping the Proto Man cutscenes, this like basically it despawns the music, and that actually reduces a lot of lag in this room. Now that the music is playing again, you can see some of these jumps are incredibly slow. So he just has to be very careful here with the music now that he doesn't let go of A too early, thinking that he'll make a jump. But he makes it through, so that's good.
ZergG bustering down the dogs, proving it's not that hard to do.
So plenty of health for this Gemini fight since Maz had the death there, so shouldn't have too many issues, hopefully, with this fight.
Gets bodied a couple of times more than I think he would have liked, but Gemini is down.
Yeah. Yeah, Gemini stage is sort of a nice... Once you're out of Gemini, it always feels good. It's like, okay, here we go. Run is now, like, stable a little bit here.
Zerg here using the quick boomerangs to deal with the apes.
Oh my god, normal, please.
Normal
Was
mode.
that four large health refills?
You can never have too many large health refills.
There's
man.
another one right there. Thank you, Mega Man 2 normal.
Well, mostly what I want to point out there is he's using quick boomerangs as opposed to like the metal blades. Metal, I think, would be the more recommended weapon if you know how to shoot them diagonally down while generally keeping your forward momentum going. So now he's actually killing the chickens with them. I'd rather him jump over these chickens and shoot them, but hey, quick boomerangs work on them and metal blades don't.
Yeah, the downside with killing these chickens, they actually immediately respawn when you kill one, so actually killing them doesn't benefit you in any way. Like, as you noticed, even if you like turn left to kill one, it just made the next one respawn sooner, so it's actually one of the reasons why we don't kill them typically. We either try to jump over them or just sort of like let them jump over us. But it looks like he is out of Mega Man 2. Woodman goes down, so...
The burnt wood.
Maz coming into his Needleman fight. Should have plenty of health for this fight, so let's see how his accuracy is.
ZergG picks up about 8.5 minutes on his splits in Mega Man 2. You want to say it, or should I?
Let's just, oh, it happened. Okay.
Oh, it
must be a little bit ahead of me then. Oh, it happened again.
And again.
So we got a Gemini laser, bouncing around the room. Oh, it happened again. Oh, laser, please. So, you can see how much, how slow the game runs when you miss a laser. The main reason for that, actually, is because Gemini laser isn't one sprite. It's actually 3 separate sprites bouncing around the room. So since there's 3 separate sprites and 3 separate hitboxes for that weapon, it's basically like having 3 buster shots on the screen at the same time too, except maybe even worse. So yeah, it's a really laggy weapon to miss, and that's really unfortunate because he missed quite a few, giving us the thumbs up on his webcam there, so he knew what he did. There you see Zerg not getting the proto skip, so he's going to have to wait and sort of sit here and wait for Proto Man to go away before he can move again.
He did go for it, though.
He did, yeah. Just jumped a little bit early.
We're seeing the Gemini first from Zerg.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty tough route to do because the Gemini Buster fight is a little bit tricky, but I don't think we're going to see the standard, obviously, speedrun Gemini fight from him since we didn't see any of the other speedrun standard strats, so it might not be as bad as the normal one.
I would say only a speedrunner would go for Gemini first, though, so...
Yeah, but if you don't know necessarily, and you just sort of look at the routes, I could see why this could be picked.
True. Well, we do get to see a Mega Man 5 reference.
I know, like, a lot of people that just pick up 4, for example, that don't know necessarily, haven't watched a lot of runs. A lot of people will just watch the top time. So I see a lot of people start with Pharaoh first, for example, in 4. And that's actually a bad choice, I think. I think Bright first is always a better choice for newer runners. But like, a lot of people don't know, right? They'll just watch the fastest time and think that's the only route. So sometimes if people haven't done a lot of fact checking, they might pick something that's not quite ideal for them. But all comes down again to the runner, what they want to do.
Well, Mazimov has been, I guess, diligently working his way all the way through Snake Man stage.
Yeah, it's been looking pretty good so far. He's all the way to the door now. Snake is a longer stage too, but you see so much of that stage we use Jet. Meanwhile, ZergG's health is really low here. He has the E-Tank, but it doesn't look like... Okay, maybe he's going to use it
He's
here now.
go for it.
That's not a bad idea, because I feel like there's a good chance he's going to take a few more hits here before getting to the boss.
Which is
There's
back
one right
to
there.
Rush Coil.
So, Coil really, honestly, not helping him a whole lot here, because there's really nowhere for Coil to land at this point. He's just going to get hit and die, typically, if he does take damage, so... But he does look like he's going to get through.
I'm holding my breath here. I'm cheering for him.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how this fight is going to go for him, because I know he's not going to do the typical Buster fight. The typical Buster fight for this Gemini fight is actually really cool, where you kind of go to the middle of the screen, and you mash back and forth, left and right, at both the Gemini forms to kill him down to 50% really fast. It's actually really cool. But yeah, obviously we're seeing the more standardized, easier way to do Gemini. He's still taking some hits though, so he might have to be careful. He still has that extra E-Tank that he just picked up at the end of the stage, so...
I think he should use it now. I'm not sure.
Want to use it
get bodied.
One more body hit will drop him to 1 HP? Nope, he had 6, so yeah, that's a death. Gemini deals 6 damage with his body, so... unfortunate there, but taking that death. I think he did pick up the 1-up in the water section as well, though, so hopefully that won't be a big deal.
I'm not sure if he got it or not, but he got the extra life at the very beginning as well as a random drop.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so he's got
going over Gemini. As Mazimov actually making short work of Sparkman stage as well.
Pause. Please pause.
Oh my goodness!
Okay. It looked like he was maybe thinking he wasn't going to do that, but he was going to die there, so that was a good decision.
Mazimov, meanwhile, that last screen of Sparkman stage, which I still say, learn the speed strat for that one because it's easier than trying to casual out that room short of using Rush Jet.
Yeah.
You use Rush Jet to be sure.
Yeah, that room is actually surprisingly easy if you learn the speed strat for it. It makes that room a lot easier, for sure. So Maz is already 3 games down. He's into Mega Man 4, so this is looking like a pretty decent run for him. He has had, some mistakes, but nothing really too crazy here, so he's doing a very good job. Meanwhile, Zerg trying to buster these porcupines. Not really a good idea unless you have very good mashing. They have 6 HP. You're better off typically to switch to Gemini Laser there, but again, I think the lack of the actual speed strats knowledge will sort of interfere in there.
It took a while for me to kind of realize that Gemini was that easier against them, so...
Yeah, Gemini Laser one-shots them, which makes them just so easy. Whereas six Buster shots is very hard. Like, you only see really top mashers go for that, typically.
Mazimov here taking out the gunball machine with his Buster, rather than just damage boosting through it.
Yeah, it's slower, but you maintain some health, which can be kind of actually a good thing when you get to the Bright Man fight, so it's not a bad idea. Bright Man, if you're not confident in manipulating his HP for the fight to prevent you getting flashed, it can be kind of scary because Mega Man 4 bosses, the majority of them deal 8 damage with their bodies, so taking a hit, when you're not ready for it sometimes can be pretty scary. But He looks like he'll be, as long as he gets to this last room, he'll be full health for the fight, which is, you know, even, that's above ideal, so.
Does manage to jump around the infamous clipping platform. I don't know if that has a name or not, but...
No, but it's, yeah, to jump around it is a lot harder, actually, than doing the, clip. Whew! Almost gets hit by that light bulb, actually. That was pretty scary. Came very, very close.
He is through.
Yeah, he gets the boss door. He's not charging, unfortunately, so he's shot, but
Hidua getting high praise in this race so far.
we'll see if Mazimov can get that manipulation. He has already done the one small shot, so all he needs to do now is shoot him with full charge shots, and he will never get flashed.
That's probably the single most important thing about Mega Man 4 to pick up is this bright fight.
Yeah, the boss fights in general, in my opinion, are the most important part of 4. If you're just starting to learn it, especially for like a shorter like category, like just 8 robots for a race like this, boss fights, in my opinion, are the most important thing to learn. So I definitely recommend people when they pick this game up to put some time in. You know, the stages are difficult in some regard too, but a lot of the difficulty can be taken away if you use things like flash stoppers. So
I'm be curious to see if ZergG actually goes Toad first. But he went Gemini first, so he probably will go for Bright.
I feel like we might see a Pharaoh first from him if we're going to actually see a speed route, but if it's casual strats, I think you probably could see a Toad first. Toad first is actually not really good when it comes to fighting Brightman, though, because the HP values that make Brightman freeze you are 16, 8, and 4 health remaining. And if you use Toad's weapon throughout the entire fight, he'll hit every single one of those HP values. So they kind of made it a little bit trolly in that regard, in that if you use it for those for the entirety of the fight, he'll flash you all 3 times. It's kind of not really ideal.
Mazimov going the normal way through the stage. No balloons today.
That's not too critical. It's going to cost him, I guess you could say, about 10 seconds if done, you know, correctly. So that's not going to be a huge thing.
He does pick up the Pharaoh E-Tank.
Like, it's not even really any slower. Like, for him, due to that execution, it was probably a bit slower than grabbing the balloon. But if
Garbage block zip.
Yeah, if executed correctly, that screen and getting the balloon is actually about the same time. So holding a charge actually is not really good here, because there's sections in Mega Man 4 where just holding a charge will lag the game, and that's one of those ones right there. So Mazimov, because he didn't even use it either, it actually cost him probably about 2 or 3 seconds. It actually doesn't seem like it would be that much, but those platforms move pretty slow, which means the lag is just happening slowly as well, and it just means that you make the lag worse, I guess.
I'm glad it's not just the Game Boy games where that's true.
Yeah, definitely the Charge Buster is something you want to make sure that when you're going to use it, you actually need it. Otherwise, you're better off to mash.
Zerg having a pretty decent spark fight here. Nice.
Gets his kill. So Maz staying close to Pharaoh, that's what you want to do, because as you can see, Pharaoh is a lot easier if you stand close to him. Does a lot of those high jumps and the charged shots at you, and just makes the fight super easy. So, really good fight. Good manipulation. So we see now Zerg is into Magnet. This is, again, it's good, similar to the Magnet first route where he'll have magnets for Shadow, but again, I don't know if he's gonna even use them. Like, I don't know how much we're gonna actually see, like, the speed strat. The only thing that's really speedrun about this really is the route.
I mean, we already kind of said, you have to start speedrunning somewhere. Certainly, I think, really the hallmark of a lot of casual playthroughs of Mega Man games is never switching off of Buster until you get to a Robot Master.
Which is unfortunate, because once you start learning how the weapons are good in the stage and how useful they are, it's so fun to use them.
Oh,
but I was definitely the same way when I used to play the games casually. I played basically Buster only the entire time. But
2 Mega Man 5 references.
Faster the games are when you actually use the weapons.
Yeah, back-to-back enemies drop 1-ups.
Will he even jet here? That's the question. Like, it looks like he's gonna do the Yoku's too.
Oh, I think he's thinking about it.
Maybe not.
He's remembering it.
There he goes. Yeah, this is a big deal because Jet actually saves quite a bit of time here. And it's one of the main reasons why Gemini and Top have much faster magnet stages. You just skip this whole section.
Mazimov using Bright, working it through Ringman stage. I'd go ahead and explain Bright, but I learned everything I know about it from Shelny. I'll probably screw up the explanation.
No, there's not a whole lot to say. I mean, it freezes enemies in place like you see it doing there when he uses it. And it lasts for about 5 seconds, but if you keep sliding, the timer doesn't tick down when you're sliding, so if your movement is clean and you get a lot of good slide chains, you can essentially make it last for an entire screen. So this Ringman fight will be interesting. It's one of the scarier Mega Man 4 bosses for newer runners, so we'll see how this goes for Maz. You only have to hit him with 5 charged Pharaoh shots, and he's already got 4 here, so this is looking pretty good. Going with the small uncharged to finish him off, that's perfectly fine.
Oh, man.
So, didn't go for the double hits, but that's still a really fast fight as long as you execute it correctly. Good, very good.
You were watching the ring fight, I take it?
Yeah.
The magnet fight on the other side was a little bit of an adventure. Zerg eventually looking to see if he had an E-Tank left, found out he had none, and managed to land the last spark hit. I guess, not entirely used to Magnet Man's speed jumping around the room. It's not something you normally think about once you get used to the fight, but Magnet Man actually does move pretty fast.
Yeah, he's pretty tricky due to his speed. But if you can get comfortable with his actual jumps themselves, they're always the same, so
yeah,
knowing the position of where to stand and where you'll be safe is pretty critical.
Not the bees.
Yeah, seeing some bees here. Not trying to despawn them, not trying to kill the bee carriers. I'm not sure actually what they're called.
Oh, Mazimov on the laggy screen.
Yeah, this is the laggiest screen in Mega Man 4, and a lot of people struggle with it because of that. Not getting good timing on jumps and slides and stuff can be pretty scary. So, but he's through it. Flash Stopper again, making the room pretty easy. Zerg trying out some different weapons here. Not finding one yet that he likes. Getting sniped by the Joe here, so he falls back down. Meanwhile, Mazimov going through the Crusher. Looks like he'll be okay. Gets through the hardest part there. Electing to just switch and use Buster there is not a terrible idea, because then you don't have to worry about running out of ring. You want to have a ring for the boss, obviously. Ooh, unfortunate menu there by Zerg. Gemini lasers will one-shot these Met Dozers, and so instead he changes back to Buster, and now has to hit them 3 times. And also the hitboxes are very unfair to Buster shots, whereas Gemini laser, it's pretty easy. Gets a lucky sub-pixel and gets the double gap slide. Dustman giving Maz some sort of bad luck here. Ooh, he could just take a hit here and kill him. He has the health, but just waits him out. And Hardman is down, so decent pace here still. I mean, obviously, ZergG is still on incredibly good pace compared to his first run.
I just realized I had myself muted for a little while.
And Maz is still on decent enough pace as well for his against his PB. So these guys are doing all right.
One thing I wanted to say while I was muted, Maz opening that dust fight with a charge shot, not following it up with a lemon to actually get his life total down to an even multiple of 4.
Yeah.
Still needed the same number of rings in the end.
Yeah. He's actually electing to do the early part of Skull here with Buster. It's a little bit slower to do Buster there because Flash Stopper, obviously it's good because you freeze enemies and so they don't lag the game as much. Those turrets wouldn't shoot and stuff like that. But it's not that much slower, so he preserves more Flash Stopper so that you can guarantee he has enough for the rest of the stage, which is still fine. Because remember, he didn't grab the balloon, unfortunately, so he has to go with the Flash Stopper strats here. A little bit easier, actually, in my opinion, than the balloon strats, though. So there's a trade-off there.
ZergG making these jumps when he could just be sliding off the platform.
Yeah, again, that's just sort of like we've been saying. It's just lack of knowing, like if you haven't seen the speedrun strats or put some time into actually trying to learn them.
Oh
no! That's just something you would definitely see people do, not realizing you can slide off them.
Oh, Mazimov wanted to use Rush Coil there to get the extra height. Didn't land on Rush Coil and just accidentally walking off the ledge there.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, because Rush actually has a pretty big hitbox in this game, unlike Mega Man 5, so kind of just unlucky there. But Coil definitely makes this jump easier. Kind of a tight jump. There's a couple tight jumps in Mega Man 4 that, for casual runners, are definitely a little bit harder. For sure.
Yeah. Some of those jumps at the end of Skullman stage especially are just brutal.
Yeah. Sometimes it's nicer just to guarantee you're gonna make the jump by switching to Coil.
And of course, even in the casual route, Drillman has the Rush Jet in Mega Man 4. Even in the speed route, he's 7th. In the casual route, he'd be 8th.
There's gonna be a death there.
Yeah.
So I think he was gonna die there anyway, because I don't think you can summon Rush Jet on those tops. Like, if you do, I think Rush will just fall through the tops. He needs to have, a floor to trigger him to actually properly spawn. So, when he missed his jump there onto that top, it was basically a guaranteed death. He had to get over to that one.
Yeah, that top section is a little tricky. It's one of those things, certainly if you're not comfortable with it, it's very easy to just summon Rush before you even get started with it.
Yeah, he could definitely do that here, like summon Jet here if he wanted, which it looks like now he's actually... Oh no, he's going to use Coil. Nope, he's going to Jet. He can do it here, and it's perfectly fine.
Easter egg of Mega Man 3, Rush Coil actually gets you across this entire gap.
An interesting thing actually about Rush Jet in that room is if you fly over one of the tops will actually pull you off of Jet. Like, if you have a top going down through you as you're on Jet, it'll pull you down through Jet and off of Jet, and it will actually kill you. So you do still have to be kind of careful in that room if you're using Jet there. It's not a completely free screen. Top is down. Something to note, I guess, Mega Man 4 is pretty easy with regard to the movement, I think, like compared to like most of the other ones. Like 3 has some weird things with the slide, 6 has some weird things with the slide, but 4 and 5 slides feel really smooth. But when you are underwater, there's a weird sort of a thing, I guess, the programmers didn't think about. And I don't know why it happens, but for whatever reason, when you're underwater, you can't jump out of your slide. So it's kind of like Mega Man 6 a little bit. And so the runners have to be careful with their slides underwater here to make sure they're not going to slide off a ledge onto spikes or off a ledge down pit they don't want to go down. So have to play it a little bit carefully. And Maz does get through the stage. Decides to use his E-Tank here for Dive Man. So hopefully this fight will go pretty well. Again, Dive Man dealing 8 damage with his body, so you can see already Maz is down to... Whoa, down again. He cannot get hit again, not even by a missile, so kind of a scary end to that fight there. Getting hit there, bodied 4 times. That's...
I guess
really,
he did
really
need that
scary.
E-Tank. That was the Pharaoh E-Tank, too.
Yeah, so it ended up being worthwhile grabbing. You can also fight Dive with Dust. Dust will deal 3 damage to Dive Man, which is a good alternative if you're not comfortable hitting him with Skull Barrier. But obviously Skull is the better option if you can, because it deals more damage and it allows you to kill him a lot quicker. So here we go. Let's see what he decides to do here in Shadow. Doesn't look like he's going to use magnets.
Not using Jet either.
Yeah, so again, this stage, this room becomes...
Oh, there he goes.
Yeah, there you go. This room becomes a lot easier with magnets. As you can see, the magnets track up and kill the Parasues, making them really, really simple. You don't have to try to shoot them with Buster and not get hit. Ooh, and he shot a bunch of magnets when he died, which is even worse, because if this isn't a game over... Yeah, he's wasted a bunch of magnet now, too. He won't have enough to go through the entire room unless he gets a drop. That's another thing you don't think about sometimes if you're in a race and you're more of a not used to speedruns. It's like you start to waste ammo, and that's actually a bad thing. You don't want to do that. So he's gonna run out here, and now he's gonna have to switch to either Buster or like Gemini Laser is another good option here. They take two shots from, or no, 1 shot from a laser. I think the Parasues take a little more awkward to hit them, but it's a good alternative if you run out of magnet.
Did make good use of the Buster there. We'll see how this Shadow fight goes now.
Maz is almost all the way through Drill now, so... Makes that last jump sort of tougher one there. He's got full health, so hopefully this Drill fight won't be too bad. Drillman can be a little bit tricky, but as long as if you're going to take a hit, as long as you can focus to get hit by the projectiles that he shoots, it's not too bad, because the drills he shoots only deal 3 damage again, and then the body deals 8 again. So body hits are something you definitely want to try to avoid. He takes one early on there, which is kind of unfortunate, but... Ooh, and another one. He's going to have to be kind of careful here.
Drillman proving to us once again why his name is Dive Man.
I don't think his timing for his buffer jumps is quite on there, but there you see, taking a projectile hit and another projectile hit. That's the way to do it. Take those projectile hits over body hits, and that will make this fight a lot safer.
That was really close.
So Maz is almost done with Mega Man 4. He's got just one more stage to go here before Mega Man 5. And
Zerg likewise, one more stage in Mega Man 3.
Yeah, he's in his final stage of 3 here, so... Snake's a little bit longer of a stage, and especially if he's... We'll see if he uses Jet. I hope he uses Jet for the last room, because waiting on those cloud platforms can be pretty terrible.
Yeah, I almost want to see him start using Jet a little sooner than that, just to make sure he makes some of these jumps.
Well, and you can also skip the Snake mini-bosses by using Jet as well, so...
True.
But he was electing to shoot them with Buster. The other option, actually, for like a casual runner is I know some people like Fasta said when he played the game casually, he used to kill them with hard knuckle because it one-shots them.
Huh.
So there's definitely different options here.
I kind of wonder if he's listening to us, because it feels like we start talking, I wonder if he's going to do this, and all of a sudden he starts doing it.
Yeah.
Mid-run training here. I love it. Oh, Mazimov working on these jumps in the first screen of Toadman stage. Jumping into that rain that pushes you back can be a little tricky. Glad to see he's through, but now he does have to deal with the sort of river section here.
Yeah, Toad's stage is surprisingly difficult in 4, actually. When you compare it to the boss fight, a lot of people just go, oh yeah, Toad, he's easy. And they forget that there's a lot of weird things working against you physics-wise in this stage. Like the rain in the first screen, the waterfalls in the third screen. So runners have to be actually pretty careful here, because the waterfalls will pull Mega Man a little bit faster to the edge, and if they're not ready for that, it can make it a little scary. Ooh, nice back D-boost there on that second snail. That was really nice.
Skull on this screen.
Again, it's a good choice. He's out of Bright, so instead of having to worry about dealing with the fish, he can just use Skull Crusher. It makes that room pretty trivial. It's a good backup.
And Snake Man is down for ZergG. They will very briefly be in Mega Man 4 at the same time.
Yeah, can he get into a stage? I don't know. I don't know if there's enough time there. Can he get into a stage quick?
He got through the stage select at least.
He did, and he is going Pharaoh first, so he's going with the harder route.
A man after my own heart.
I guess I didn't really mention, but the differences between the two routes, Pharaoh first is about, if done optimally, about 2 to 3 seconds faster. But a lot of that time save, you really have to play these first screens like very well to get that time. Like, the slower you do the first 2 screens of Pharaoh, the less time you save, and potentially the time you lose to Bright first. So runners that take this route need to actually kind of be aware of that. And he's going down, so we're not going to see the balloon in this race, unfortunately. But again,
the red balloon.
Probably not the worst thing, because I don't think he would have done the balloon strats anyway. Not that big of a deal. And Maz is into Mega Man 5. We go to Star first because that's where we get the Super Arrow. And Super Arrow is going to be used heavily throughout the rest of the game, so you'll see once Maz finishes this stage and gets into gravity, the arrow will start to pop out throughout the different stages, and it's a very, very overpowered weapon because you can use it to climb vertical sections very fast, like Item 1 or the balloon. And you can use it to go horizontally very fast, like Item 2 in Mega Man 2, so there's definitely multiple reasons you want to pick that thing up.
It's worth mentioning, I guess, we've been keeping track of how much time ZergG's gained against his splits in each game so far. He's 54 minutes up on the splits right now.
He is, yeah, so still decent pace. He's saving a lot of time. But this is going to be an interesting game for him, because like I said, the boss fights are very unfair for people who have not put time into learning them.
Oh my bad dodge.
So, and he's already really low health here in the stage, so I'm curious to see how his boss fights go in Mega Man 4. They could be very punishing.
Pharaoh is a fight that can be punishing, although once you play it a few times, it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's all about positioning, like learning how to do this fight. If he stays close to Pharaoh, he'll likely get a good pattern. If he tries to stay far away from Pharaoh, he's going to have a bad time. I mean, there's really no other way to describe it. That's really what's going to happen. So if he tries to run away from Pharaoh, like he's doing right now, this is not good. He's going to be getting these very aggressive jumps from Pharaoh. He's still too far away here, even there. You need to be standing close, so we could be seeing... if he takes a lot of hits here, we might even be seeing a death here, even with that E-Tank. So he wants to stay close, or he's going to be getting some pretty awkward patterns from Pharaoh Man.
Mazimov, meanwhile, making short work of Star Ran.
Not getting a lot of charge hits either, so this fight is lasting a little bit longer. Half charges in Mega Man 4 don't deal more damage than a single lemon shot, so There's really no benefit to hitting bosses with half charges. But he does kill Pharaoh. Seemed to sort of adjust quickly to staying close to Pharaoh, which was the difference maker for sure.
Don't fear the tomb. So is Gravity Man the best stage ever?
No.
Not even walking on the ceiling?
That's an easy answer. No, it's definitely not. It's a cool mechanic. I like the idea that the developers had for this stage. It's really neat with the gravity switchers and going to the ceiling and stuff, but I don't even think this is the best stage in Mega Man 5, let alone ever. I think Charge is a much cooler stage, much more fun.
Charge is a pretty cool stage, that's true.
Yeah. Now, I'm looking at it from a speedruns perspective, so maybe I'm a little biased in that regard, but casually, I'm sure this would be pretty high, or a pretty well-liked stage, I think, for most people.
Maz is already starting to use that super arrow we were talking about.
Yeah.
Just riding it over an entire screen. Right now, it doesn't look overly exciting, pretty simple use of it. Just hang on that.
Yeah, it'll get some pretty interesting use in some of the other stages. I feel like a lot of the arrow usage in Gravity is very minimal. Like, you only see it in a few screens because the problem with arrow in Gravity is you can't stand on it when you're upside down. So you're limited to which screens you really can actually use it in. And so that's why you don't see it as much in this stage as some of the other ones.
I don't think I knew that.
This fight is 100% the same every time. Gravity follows a set pattern, so there's really no RNG here. He did shoot him with a buster shot at the beginning, but unfortunately that doesn't really matter, again, because he still will have that 1 HP, so fight being the same. See how Zerg deals with this. He does get the jump over the tough platform.
That is a scary platform if it clips out from underneath you and starts moving on its own. He also pauses there in the middle of the stage to just make sure that bullet goes away.
Yeah. And he's gonna make it to the boss door, so... It's a rough death in that room. Taking a death in that last platform of a break costs you like a minimum of about 45 seconds, depending on where in the room you die. It can cost you anywhere from like 45 to 55, so it's a pretty big time loss if you die there, so... Pretty good that he didn't.
Oh.
So we're not seeing the HP manipulation from Zerg here, so we're probably going to see at least one flash, if not two. And his health is low. If he gets a flash, he's going to die here, probably. Okay, it's good. He ended up getting the HP back on track, so... Didn't see if Maz had used any arrow yet, but looks like he's using Buster through some of these screens where you would normally use arrow. So he might not have the arrow strats down yet.
Mazimov here using this arrow on the screen. It's still not the best screen to use the arrow on, even when you are skipping the letter on that screen.
Yeah, but it makes those rooms pretty easy, though. Just slide right across.
That is a nice, easy place to use the arrow, at least.
Yeah. I was wrong. He did use the arrow because he only had about 4 or 5 energy left, so he did use it somewhere in the stage. I just missed the menu to it.
Yeah.
Zerg is attempting to go through these screens early on here with Buster. This is actually very ill-advised, because these turrets will shoot you and snipe you. They're jerks. And he's actually getting an incredibly nice pattern from most of these turrets, so...
I think he's already fallen off of a screen once, so...
Yeah. Flash Stopper makes these screens very easy, because then the turrets cannot snipe you, so I always advise runners, if you're not going to do the balloon strats, definitely use Flash Stopper.
Gyro Man goes down.
Gyro's down. Are we going to see a Crystal Warp from Maz? I think so. I think he did it in his other two runs, right?
I'm honestly not sure. I haven't caught as many of the matches as I would have liked on some level.
We definitely won't see it, I don't think, from Zerg. I really have a hard time believing that we'll see it from Zerg. Having some issues here hitting this first ring mini boss. This is the only mini boss in this stage you actually have to kill. All the other three you can just avoid. Yeah, so Maz is taking damage here, so he's gonna do the skip.
The nice kill on the second hippo from Zerg, even though he doesn't have to kill it.
Ooh, his health is... Yeah, okay, he should be fine here. He's got 3 health. Has the setup. Oh,
does he?
The hair. I wonder if he moved on the arrow at all. Or if he was... The arrow maybe wasn't at full speed. I think it was. I think he might have moved on the arrow because he had the height. The height was correct, so...
I want to say we've seen a few people play through Crystal Man stage.
So has to be careful. Make sure this ball doesn't come back towards him here. Okay, another good one there, and he gets it this time. So now we sit and wait, and meanwhile we can watch Zerg do his ring fight. Now this is a scary fight. I don't think he had his E-tank anymore, so this is typically one of the hardest fights for a casual player. So we'll see if he's put any time to learning it, dodging these rings. If he gets hit by a body right now, he's gonna die. So very important that he doesn't, and he does. And he's out of ammo as well, so now he's got to buster this fight.
Let me actually check again, because I was a little surprised I didn't see him just tap B one more time. Oh yeah, that's why. He probably didn't realize he was out and just turned around to fire off the last shot. And click, 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 out of ammo.
So now he's got to buster him. And again, this fight is, like I said, this is probably one of the hardest casual buster fights in Mega Man 4. So if he hasn't learned the speed strat, which I don't think he has, he's going to have to try to quickly adapt and learn how to dodge Ringman here, or he's going to take a game over. Looking like he's starting to figure it out. Not getting charge hits in, though, which means he's going to have to do more dodging. And, yep, another body hit from Ring, and he takes a death. That 8 damage is very punishing from body hits. He's got one more try here, it looks like.
Ringman may very well just simply be the worst.
Yeah, I mean, casually, this is a really not good fight. Speedrun-wise, it's the best fight, because there is 0 RNG in this fight. He does the exact same thing every time. So for a speedrunner, that's awesome. But casually, he's difficult. He moves very fast. He throws his rings very quickly as well, so you have to sort of figure out his pattern. And it looks like Zerg's finally got it down, and he's got the kill. So very important to get that kill, because you don't want a game over here and have to replay the stage again.
We're seeing... I was talking about this earlier when I was saying sometimes you see weird strats you don't otherwise see. Mazimov breaking out the Star Shield, or the Star Crash, for the kind of giant digger room in Napalm Man stage.
Yeah, those things are kind of annoying. They actually one-shot you like a spike, so you have to make sure that you can kill them quickly. And the Star Crash, yeah, being able to one-shot them is pretty nice. Ooh, he's got to be careful here. Didn't quite get to the top of that ladder. Thankfully, doesn't take a death. Gets a refill so he can arrow over these guys now. It was kind of lucky item from Eddie there.
Zerg not switching off a buster on the first screen of dust. This one's pretty scary if you're not using any strats for that exact reason.
Ooh, and there's a death right there. That should be his game over, though, which won't be as punishing of a death. Yeah, there it is. So if you're gonna take a death in game over, that's probably one of the better places to do it fairly early on in a stage. So now he's using Flash Stopper this time, and obviously making this screen a lot easier. Not getting any slides in though, really. So.
And I think he's listening to us.
Yeah, he's not getting as much slides in, which makes him have to use more flash stoppers, unfortunately. But
he's got this enemy in his way.
And he waited for the block, so now he's gonna have to wait for the flash stopper to wear off. That's actually something you don't want to do. You don't want to wait for those red blocks. You just jump. It looks like you'll die, but that red block will always spawn fast enough and save you. So kind of unfortunate. He had to sort of wait it out. He is going to run out of flash stopper here before getting through this part, but he shouldn't need it anymore, so it should be fine. And he waited.
Eddie's going to give him some more anyway.
He's going to have to wait for the flash.
Probably should just stick to Buster on the screen.
Yeah, you don't really want to use flash in this room because it freezes the Mets down, and then you have to deboost on them. But,
I'm not even thinking about the Mets, just like the Crusher blocks.
Well, the Crusher blocks are like the same. It doesn't matter if you use Buster or Bright. But, yeah, the Mets get frozen in your way, so it's not really good. So we'll see how slowly he takes this last one here. This is the harder one to do. He's got his safety area done now. Just gonna break some blocks, go back, get hit by this Met, and try not to get hit by that bullet, and he's through.
I guess if he got hit by the bullet, he would have zipped anyway, so...
No, probably not. The zip is actually very precise. You have to get damaged on the exact frame that the Crusher changes directions from up to down or down to up. So if you don't do that, you won't zip.
Mm.
It also kind of requires the Crusher blocks to be at a certain setup, like so that you end up being inside of a wall, kind of. There's a lot that has to go on to zip in that room. Maz is into Stone Stage. Stone Stage is actually pretty fun. It's a really long stage, though. Oh, unfortunately, he's not going to get the arrow over these enemies here, so he's going to have to Buster through this room, or Jet, or one of the other options. Another fallacy that we see Zerg falling for is, again, just like the Pharaoh fight, staying away from dust makes you feel like you're safer, but in the end it gives you a worse pattern, so he's getting a lot of sucks here because he's trying to stay further away from Dustman. Maz using Gravity Hold here. I like that strat. His HP is kind of low, so taking the enemies out of his way is not a bad idea. Makes these rooms pretty
Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie gives him the health. That's really nice.
Yeah, Gravity Hold on these last screens, while not explicitly the speed strat, actually really nice.
Ooh, taking some hits from these Mets though. Not quite killing them fast enough with Gravity Hold. But it looks like he should hit the boss door here, yep.
Now that you already mentioned it once, yeah, not using Bright on the screen, you can kind of see the extra lag as the cannonball starts bouncing around.
Yeah. Ooh, little close slide there underneath Stone Man, but Stone Man is pretty easy if you can stay close to him. He'll just keep jumping like you see him doing there from Az, so pretty straightforward fight. So now Maz is heading into my favorite stage of Mega Man 5, Charge Man. I think this stage is super fun. The music is great, and the screens with the chickens and the trains are actually really fun to execute. So we'll see how the stage goes for him. We will just make a mention that Mazimov has dedicated his chicken room to his Group F.
Group F in the tournament.
This chicken room that's about to happen is for you guys here, so we'll see how it goes. See if we can get this one arrow here, fly across the rest of this train. Yep, he does. Very nice. Good backup.
ZergG going up to get these small life drops before realizing he has full life. We've all done that, though.
So here we go, chicken room. This is for you, Group F. This room is really fun, especially once you know the speedrun strat. Since you cannot mash into enemies in this game because enemies have iframes, you have to actually kind of time your shots. And this stage, the way the movement works with timing your shots between slides and stuff, the movement feels so good in this room if you you can execute it. So it's definitely one of my favorite rooms. Everything just really flows well together. Ooh, he got a really lucky drop there, but he probably doesn't know the arrow backup, so just elects to not change.
At this point, he really needs a health drop.
Yeah, that could be useful. He's getting a lot of ammo drops.
Ammo drops.
Again, another one. Usually runners will want to switch off of Crystal Eye by this point because for that exact reason, so they're not getting a bunch of drops. But there it is. That's good timing actually for that health. So
he needed it.
Charge Man can be a little bit deceptive sometimes, so hopefully he doesn't have any issues trying to jump over him. And we get to see the worst weapon of the game put to use. You know, I really should clarify. Like, I don't think this is the worst weapon of Mega Man 5. I think that any weapon can be good if you know how to use it. And we've clearly seen some really good Charge Man fights from some other runners. Baron had a really good one in his first race. I didn't get to see a second one to see. So, like, if you know how to use the weapon, it's not bad in any way.
I still say only use Power Stone as your doctor recommends.
Yeah, it's for those that don't know how to do the really difficult, you know, tighter strat fight. It's definitely a lot harder to adapt to.
I feel like Power Stone's actually got a couple of more applications in its Game Boy form, but that's another story for another day.
So Maz is into his last stage of Mega Man 5. He'll only have one game to go after this one. Unfortunately, this is the longest stage because it's got the auto-scroller, but it's not going to be too terrible, hopefully. The biggest issue here for most runners is trying not to take too much damage early on so that you can have enough health for the Wave Man fight. But even if he doesn't, as long as he can get to the fight, he should be okay because the biggest thing for him is going to be he'll have the lives, so if he has to take a death to respawn with health, it's perfectly fine. Ooh. Zerg taking a death here in dive.
Ooh. He was already out of Bright, too, so he's having to power through these last few screens.
Yeah, the Stingrays deal 6 damage. They're no joke. They hit very hard, so you really don't want to get hit by them. Trying to avoid them is pretty important.
The Stingrays really are almost unfair with it, just how small their hitbox is and then how much they hurt.
Mm-hmm. The nice thing is you can kill them pretty fast with things like Skull Barrier and freeze them in place with Flash Stoppers, so they can be actually not too terrible to avoid, but obviously Zerg is trying to save his Skull Crusher, I guess, for the boss fight, and he has no more Flash Stopper left, so he's going to have to take some time and buster them. Easiest room of the stage, you just slide. See the only mini-boss in Mega Man 5, the Octo fight.
That really is the only mini-boss, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Zerg has to be very careful here, because... Okay, he's got his kill. He had 6 health, so he could have taken one more missile hit, but again, no body hits, or he would have died. So Maz's health is looking okay right now. He should be able to get to the boss fight all without any issues. But again, has to be a little bit careful in the fight itself to make sure that he can survive, or he'll have to try the fight again. So it looks like Maz is actually trying to buster him. He's trying to save his ammo, I guess, in case he takes the death, and there is the death, so... Should be fine. Just fight him with charge kick this time.
I think
He's a little early, but he's got plenty of ammo, so it shouldn't be an issue.
This group is probably late enough in its own play at this point, just trying to win the race. Ooh. Zerg taking a drop onto some spikes.
Mm-hmm. Drill is actually surprisingly difficult with regard to its checkpoint placement. The checkpoint is pretty far into the stage, so a lot of runners, if they struggle on the stage, it's usually because they're taking deaths on spikes, and then they get sent all the way back to the beginning of the stage. So getting comfortable with the screens and where the spikes are so you don't die on them is pretty important here, because yeah, it's just that checkpoint is really far away. Like if you take a death in the triple turret room, which is the last room before the checkpoint, it can cost you upwards to like a full minute if you're, not careful. So, ooh, he's gonna have to hold right here. Okay, he sees it. And Maz is off to Mega Man 6. This is the final game of this race here. So, 8 robots left for him to go.
Love the Windman theme to close out these 1 through 6 runs.
Mega Man 6 is a very strong soundtrack. Wind is one of my favorite stages due to for music-wise. I like Flame a lot as well. Flame is actually my favorite stage to play in the speedruns, so we'll actually see that stage next. But so Zerg does get to the checkpoint room here. He's got 2 extra lives as well. He's going to grab this E-Tank.
Never a bad idea to pick up an E-Tank.
I'm struggling with these roly-polies here. This room with Flash Stopper is a lot easier because the roly-polies are frozen. They can't do anything, so you just kill them really fast.
Just wasn't even really trying to deal with them too much.
Yeah. But yeah, his best options here is to either use Flash Stopper, which he's using, or to use Skull. Skull's okay. It's a little bit slower, but it's still a very, very good option.
Oh my goodness, that jump was early.
Yeah, that was pretty close. But he's gonna make it. His HP is pretty low. Is he gonna E-Tank or just go for it here?
Yeah, if he gets bodied, it's over.
Yeah, he'll die here to a body hit, but again, he's got 2 lives, so it's not the worst thing if he takes 1 death here. Meanwhile, Wind is, Maz is fighting Wind here. Wind is a pretty easy buster fight, which is kind of nice because it is the first stage. And he gets the kill. Very nice.
Zerg hit by 1 drill. He might want to use that E-Tank now just to be sure, but it looks like he's gonna...
Yeah, I think if he E-Tanked now, he'd probably finish it, no problem. But he's electing to just try it out.
Oh my goodness!
Drill hit, and there it is. He's got it. There. He knows he doesn't need to use it, so he's good.
That missile is his new best friend.
So yeah, Maz is into Flame. Flame is an interesting stage actually because it's one of the few stages in. Actually, it might be the only stage in Mega Man 6 and in all the stages really, where it actually punishes you for different things. Like for example, you see those little those flame tellies, that one flame telly there before he transitioned. That one screen, it dropped a little fire droplet into the oil and it lit the oil on fire. And it's interesting because if he dies and doesn't game over, that oil pit will actually remain lit. So like if he gets a light there, like he did there, if he dies now before getting to the checkpoint and has to redo this screen, that oil will still be lit on fire. So it's actually kind of like a little punishment for allowing the tellies to light those pits on fire. It's kind of interesting. It's like a persistent thing in the stage until you game over.
Some of these later fire pits, I think people were saying, are also kind of keyed to the earlier ones, so they're on fire too as soon as you even show up.
Yeah, some of the oil pits are connected. So yeah, like if a certain pit in like one of the first screens gets lit, it might be connected with one of these ones in the second long screen. And so you might get to one that's already lit on fire.
Kind of similar to the scale platforms in X3.
Yeah, a little bit.
Mr. X3, I should say.
Zerg trying to coax this D-boost out of this snail. He does get it.
He at least knows you don't want to get knocked off the platform and be caught holding right and walk right into the pit.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna take one more fish here.
It's a pretty safe way to do it, but ooh, he's gonna get hit by this fish. He's got 1 HP. He is fighting Toadman, though. I mean, that could be
Flame
enough.
Man is down for Maz. Oh, he's gonna use the
anyway. Oh man,
the refill speed of Mega Man 4.
He might get hit by Toad.
He might get bodied by Toad.
Derek says that it's a pretty hard fight. I'm not so sure. We'll see. We'll see if that E-Tank was worth it.
Yep.
Ooh, he actually did get rain flushed, so yeah. Definitely worth it. Mega Man 4 is done for him. He's off to 5.
And he is officially an hour ahead of his splits.
Meanwhile, Maz is into Blizzard now. Blizzard is a pretty fun stage. You got the ice physics on certain blocks there, like he's on right now. We mentioned, or we alluded to earlier, that you have to cancel your slide in Mega Man 6 before you can jump. And ice physics is kind of cool in that regard because there's 2 different ways to cancel your slide. One is by turning the other direction. So if you're sliding right, you turn left. If you're sliding left, you turn right. And the other way is by pressing A before your slide ends, you will cancel your slide. That's why you can't jump into your slide, because it cancels. And so runners have to cancel before they make jumps and stuff. If you cancel on ice with a left, or like a turn cancel, it will like rubber band you the opposite direction. Whereas if you use a cancel on ice, it will actually maintain your forward momentum. So it's kind of cool. Cancels on ice are kind of interesting in that you want to see like A cancels to keep your movement moving in the correct direction, as opposed to sort of rubber banding you the wrong direction and having to re-walk over space that you already walked, or slide again. Very low health here in Star right now for Zerg, so
he did manage to make that kind of tricky jump. Star is a low gravity, kind of almost underwater stage.
Yeah,
so
if he can get through these next couple screens, there's a large health there in a room with Mets. Oh, he takes the death. Okay. So that low gravity adjustment just being a little bit too tricky, I think.
Yeah, some of these jumps, you want to make sure you don't go too high while still actually reaching your destination. Trickier than it looks, especially right there. That kind of jump over the 4 spikes.
Yeah.
Mega Man 5 reference.
Blizzard is down for Maz. He's got 5 stages to go.
Keep going. Zerg just kind of steadily getting through Starman stage. Actually going to fight the Walker.
Yeah, the walkers in Mega Man 5 are actually pretty terrible. Like we mentioned, Mega Man 5 enemies have invincibility frames, so you can't just mash enemies like you can in every other Mega Man game in 5. You have to actually time your shots. So killing the walker like that, not using charge shots, is not really the best way to do it. Not using, like, the charge buster, they basically gave them iframes to, I think, push the players to use the charge buster a little bit. Like, they didn't want you to be able to mash enemies down in this game, clearly.
Yeah.
So they want you to, like, utilize the charge a little more. But they also made the charge a little more difficult to use, because when you slide, you don't charge, and when you get hit, you lose your charge. And that's something they also kept in Mega Man 6. As you saw there, actually, Maz actually got hit by that one turret, and he lost his charge, so something to keep in mind. When they're doing anything with Buster, they need to try to be a little bit careful and dodge enemies, as opposed to taking D-boosts like you can in 4. Starman's a pretty easy fight. If you actually stay really close to Star, you can actually shoot right through his shield, so his shield isn't even really that hard to avoid. But we're seeing Zerg just sort of do the standard fight and wait for the shield to come down.
It is possible to sort of manipulate Starman into an infinite. He just jumps around the room and he never fires his shield. Manages to stay out of that for the most part. I did see a lot of extra jumps.
Maz is into probably the hardest screen of Mega Man 6. This plant stage is pretty difficult, and it's mainly because of this screen here. You got the plant forms here, which I'm guessing he'll open with Buster. Yeah, okay. It's going to menu to Buster. These are much easier than trying to do plant forms. But then, even after this part, he's got to do the spring section. So he's got to be careful of the fish jumping out. He's got to be careful of those beetles flying across the screen, and then some of the turrets coming up. There's a lot of ways that this room can go wrong, so it's always kind of a scary moment when the runners get here. Taking his time, though. Slow and steady. It's looking good. Take an extra little second here to avoid that fish, and he's good. He's through.
See if he manages to get Plant Man to run around the room. That's a glitch. I still don't completely get how it works. I've heard everybody talking about it so far. That if you're standing in the middle of their hitbox, they get confused.
Basically, Robot Masters choose their next boss pattern. Oh, at least these ones for sure. The ones that walk, like Plant, Blizzard, Knight. Any Robot Master that has a walk pattern, unlike ones like Tomahawk and Flame, don't walk, so it doesn't work for them. If you stand in the middle of their hitbox, they sort of lose track of where Mega Man is. Since they sort of base their next attack on Mega Man's position, like left or right, because they face him. And so because of that, they just sort of like, the game gets a little confused, and the bosses just sort of take a walk. And we use that to manipulate Plant, because obviously when he has his shield up, he's invincible and you can't hit him, but it is pretty precise. There's a pretty easy setup for when Plant jumps right off the beginning of the fight. You can do one neutral slide to the right and you'll be on the exact pixel. But for runners that do that setup, they have to be careful, because if something goes wrong, they need to know sort of backups to adjust for that, or just fight him the normal way. So Maz electing to Buster the entire first screen of Tomahawk. Gives him a couple extra flames, which is kind of nice. But the Tomahawk stage is actually pretty fun. Like, that first screen is actually really fun. Bustering the Coltons as you go through with the slides. It sort of reminds me a little bit of the Chicken Room, like the movement and the shots and how they fit together. It feels really good when you nail the strat. But taking a little bit of extra time there is not a bad idea, because then you have a couple extra flames for this stage, which is good.
Is taking a few extra hit from some of the like little skull crawler type enemies.
Yeah, the nice thing about Mega Man 6 is there's not very many enemies that deal a lot of damage to you, so like even taking a couple hits there, it's not too crucial. One might say that it's more crucial in this stage than some of the others, because Tomahawk is considered to be one of the more harder bosses to avoid, so you usually take more damage in the boss fight. But as long as you're somewhat careful, Maz did get an E-Tank from one of the Eddies, so he should be okay as long as he, uses that if he needs to, kind of thing. Again, seeing how iframes, these enemies that ZergG is trying to kill with their iframes, they take so much longer to kill because you can't just mash them down. You have to wait for the iframes to wear off before you can hit them again.
That, and he just got a bad pattern with it kind of zigzagging just above the Buster's line of fire and then just below it.
Mm-hmm. So Maz actually decides to E-Tank before the fight, which is probably a good idea. So he's got full health for this fight. As long as he takes his time to make sure he doesn't miss any shots, should be really easy. And there it is. 3 more stages.
Almost there. ZergG's got to do something to respawn that platform.
Yeah, he's got to either... Yeah. He's gonna have to move further back to the left to respawn it. There it is.
Oh.
Ooh, and misses the jump. You can see actually how much easier even just using super arrow in these rooms makes them. Like, the strats for these rooms, not only do they make them faster sometimes, but also easier, because you don't have to like you don't have to kill any of these enemies or try to avoid them. You just fly right by them. Having some issues. I think he knows he wants to try to use the arrow, but he just doesn't know where to place the arrow, and that's actually worse. Trying to do arrow strats when you don't know where to place the arrows is actually more dangerous than just playing the stage without them.
True.
Dragonflies snipe Mazimov a couple times there, but he gets through that, and we see the much easier walker in Mega Man 6 as compared to Mega Man 5.
Yeah.
No iframes, and you don't have to even hit him in the face anymore. You can hit him anywhere.
Nice arrow.
Objectively, the easiest walker between the two games, as Pot Dot might say.
Maz here going to the so-called secret exit of I guess it's Yamato Man stage.
Yeah,
This
there's
is
an
the
alternate
only one
route.
of the 4 that's actually faster than the normal route.
Yeah, 4 of the stages have alternate routes. Tomahawk, Yamato, Knight, and Centaur all have an alternative route that gives you the letter to collect beat. But beat is not good in this game, and it's not worth the time.
Oh my goodness, the save from Zerg!
Wow.
Ow!
That was pretty close. Pretty scary room there.
Good Yamato fight for Maz.
Yamato's not too hard here. Takes a lot of damage, obviously, from Tomahawk, and most of the things he hits you with are not very punishing, so pretty easy fight there. So 2 stages left for him to take this race.
And Maz is having a pretty solid run. Looks like he's gonna finish just over 2 hours.
Yeah, and that's good for him. Like I honestly, this win here should clinch him the 2nd spot in the pool for the brackets. So this is really good for him. This should be a lock, which is awesome. Actually, this will be the first pool then that is actually finally decided. If Maz wins this, which I mean, obviously it looks like he will, it will lock both Colonel Fatso and Mazimov in for the brackets. Single elimination bracket.
Yeah. It would take a lot of tiebreaker math to pull Zerg in, and he would have to actually beat Colonel Fatso as well.
Correct, yeah.
And no offense to Zerg, but Colonel Fatso is really good at these games.
Yeah, Fatso has put up some pretty nice times already in the tournament, so definitely it would require him to get like a sub 150 for sure.
Twice.
So it looks like he's taking the D-boost to try to do the skip here for Crystal, so I guess maybe he's learned it.
Let's do it.
It's a pretty easy scrap to do once you know how it's done. Ooh, he needs to actually get hit one more time. His health isn't low enough to die.
Yeah.
So there it is right there. So let's see if he can set it up.
Nice.
He's got it. Yep, that's good. Mazimov takes care of the Mad Nerds very easily with Flame. Mad Nerds are kind of interesting because they don't really have 2 HP. They basically take 2 hits to kill with no matter what you use. The only weapon that actually kills them in 1 hit is Blizzard Attack. So it's kind of interesting. Like, it doesn't matter if you use like a charge shot and a single lemon or 2 charge shots. It doesn't matter. You have to hit them 2 times unless you use Blizzard. So they're kind of interesting in that regard. I think they're the only enemy, again, in Mega Man 1 to 6 that are like that. They don't really have a set HP value, necessarily. Or if they do, every single weapon deals 1 damage, except for Blizzard, which would deal 2.
Nightman is down. The Yamato spears piercing right through that shield.
Yeah, it makes Nightman really trivial.
Nice crystal fight.
So one more stage for Maz. Centaur. We've seen some people have some rough centaurs so far in this tournament, but if you take it safe, it's not too terrible. I would say for newer people, like we didn't really talk about this, but Mega Man 6 kind of has like a faster gravity in a way. Like you fall faster and sooner in 6 than you do in every other one. So some of the jumps in water, like you feel like you have to let go so you don't hit the spikes, but then in doing so, you actually let go too early and don't make the actual jump over the spikes. So, ooh, there's our first edge clip I think we've seen. That's a classic Mega Man 6 thing right there. Sometimes edges are just not good, and you land on the edge, but the game just says, nah, we're gonna push you off. So he makes it the second time there. So. Yeah, that's something to note. There is another race, I think, it's going to be starting up. I don't know if it has yet, but it was supposed to start up on SRL here, Speedruns Live, very shortly if it hasn't. And then after this race, immediately after this race, we have another 46 Robot Master race. So I believe I'm staying to commentate that one here. And I believe Hot.1 is joining me, so
Sweet.
Stick around for that.
Beef Watson, the Mega Man 2 tournament favorite, who just kind of came out of nowhere and started getting really good times in that tournament, going up against Javeth.
Ooh, is this enough? Okay, he's got it. Sometimes if you jump and that water's a little higher, you don't get as much hang time in the water, so Mazimov makes it. And he's coming into the sort of last scary area of Centaur here. If he can just get out of this room and over this pit in the next room, he should be home free. Because once you get out of this screen here, there's really nowhere to die. So, Mazimov is, should be good here. Falling into this last screen. It's got plenty of health. Centaur doesn't deal that much damage. The goal here is just to hope Centaur doesn't give him a pattern of 3 teleports, but we'll see what he gets. Ooh, good pattern. Centaur gives him the walk off the bat. That's very good. And he gets the best pattern, the double walk. So ideally, this pattern he got, he would get no teleports. He actually got a third pattern there, which he just got lucky. It was another walk pattern, but yeah, GG to Maz. That should. I mean, like Cab said, unless there's like a real like miracle here, and we see Zerg just put a ton of time in before his next races and get really good times, this should lock Maz and Fatso in to be the first 2 people to completely sort of clinch their pools completely. Like, there's been a couple people that I think are pretty much clinched in their pools also, but
yeah,
in theory, mathematically, they could still be eliminated, but I think they're pretty clinched. Like Primal and Darko, I'm pretty sure are going to move on as well. So I think we've got about 4 people that look like they're going to be solidly clinched at the moment.
Yeah, for ZergG to move on at this point, he would need to. I think what would end up happening is he would have to go 2-0 in the next 2 races. Likely, Colonel Fatso wins the first tiebreaker just of average time.
Yeah.
At which point, ZergG would actually lose this tiebreaker on the head-to-head race anyway. So.
Yeah. So I think it is a lock.
Yeah, pretty much.
It really just comes down to how they do it. Like if it's based off of total time, between all 3 runs, it would be a thing. But then, yeah, if it's based off of the actual race between those 2 that have the tie, then it would be Mazimov.
Yeah, I think it's a 3-way versus 2-way probably. We'd have to check with the tournament officials later
Yeah.
for what the actual tiebreaker is, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we're gonna have to go to conference record on this later.
Yeah, and I know there's supposed to be another race starting on this channel, so I'm not sure if we're gonna actually get to see Zerg finish or not. Because I know the next race is scheduled, or was scheduled to start 13 minutes ago, so we may not get to see the end of this one.
I leave it up to Fiesel at this point. Certainly, ZergG, while still kind of charging along here, powering through these games at his own pace, he is an hour and 13 minutes ahead of his splits for 1 through 6. Certainly, I mean, besides just the obvious improvement here, I'd love to see him continue to start learning some of the strats, really start bringing this time down. But hey, everyone's speedrunning career starts somewhere, and this is one heck of a place to jump in and do it. You gotta just applaud his bravery for jumping in here.
Yeah, he's still in good pace, like you said, in comparison to his previous run. So, just gonna peek my nose back out into the SRL page and see if the next race channel is open.
See, the race here, I believe, is between Lightning 55 and Prissy.
Yeah, it is. This is both these runners' first race, too, I believe. So, getting a little bit of a late start, but...
Oh, they're still getting their first races in before me.
yeah.
Beef Watson is having his first race on the other channel right now. I think we already mentioned this was ZergG's first race. And Prissy and Lightning in Group H, which has only actually had one race overall. Dark Terex topping Doisum last night.
Yeah, it was kind of unfortunate. Doisum had some real-life issues and ended up having to forfeit, so... Oh. Oh. Oh, okay. Yeah, that works.
We switching over now, or...?
Yeah, it looks like we're switching over now, so we should have Prissy and Lightning 55 on stream at the moment. I'm just going to pull up their streams.
All right. You said you had another commentary partner for this one?
I believe Papat.1 is scheduled to be on this one, yeah.
All right. I will make way for Papat Dot. Say goodnight, everybody, and enjoy these races. Don't forget to follow the racers, too.
Yeah. Thanks for joining, too, by the way, Cab. Hey,
Yeah.
appreciate
Sure thing.
that.
Let me go make sure I follow ZergG right now, because these new runners are usually the ones you want to keep an eye on and see the journey. So have a good night, folks.
Take it easy. And I think I heard Mr. Papa.1 join the channel. Might be having a slight Discord problem. Sometimes that happens. He'll just probably reset and come back. But the race is underway. RaceBot has ticked down, so we should be seeing that start very shortly.